What's up everyone, John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo here with a full review and overview for you of the Xbox 360 250GB model, which I am nicknaming the Xbox 360 Slim. A full review of the console would be a bit exhaustive and probably unnecessary since it's the same Xbox experience that you've been getting for a few years now. Xbox Live plays the same, the games will play and look the same. Really the new features and what's different here is sort of below the surface and well I guess on the surface itself. So we're going to focus on the aesthetics and the components of the new hardware. So let's start with what's new, and that is the processor. First, it's using a new CPU and GPU with the 45nm die, which is, people are always been asking, what's the difference? I keep hearing about that system on chip. Why is that going to help? Well, if you've ever heard of the Red Ring of Death or experienced it yourself, you're going to be very thankful for this. Certainly, the reason the older Xboxes failed so much is because the GPU and some of the other components would pull away from the circuit board for a number of reasons, but primarily heat. So sort of with this new die and new robust cooling system, the expectation is that the console will have a much longer shelf life, or component life, if you will. So next, the big difference here is a 250GB hard drive. Previously, that was only available on special edition Xbox 360 Elite, so that's new in here as well. And sort of interestingly enough, the hard drive itself is the same as the hard drive as the outgoing models as far as how it connects to the console itself, but it uses a new enclosure, so it's not compatible with the other Xbox 360 models. So you've seen the older ones looked a lot bigger, but the hard drive itself inside of that case is the same. The case itself has changed. It is still a proprietary connection. We now have Wi-Fi built in 802.11n, and the Wi-Fi is actually very reliable and picks up a really nice signal. I was a bit worried about gaming over Wi-Fi. It's been working perfectly. It's smooth, it's fluid, and it's really been no different than my wire connection I had with the previous Xbox 360. You now have 2 more USB ports for a total of 5. You can now not use, actually, memory units. So if you relied on memory units to get on Xbox Live or save your games, those are going to be gone. If you want to transfer your data from your old Xbox 360 to your new one, you can use a thumb drive or they have a dedicated transfer cable. There's also a dedicated Kinect port on the back. And what Kinect is, if you don't know, is previously Project Natal. It's Xbox's new motion gaming system. It doesn't use controllers. You actually become the controller itself. Now people have been wondering, why is there a dedicated Kinect port? When Microsoft said that all Xbox 360 models would work with Kinect. Well, the answer is pretty simple. Kinect draws a decent amount of power, and its interface with the console is USB based, but the USB itself can't pull enough electricity from the console, so it's going to need a dedicated power supply. So what the Kinect port does, it actually puts enough power out to power Kinect without its own power supply. So sort of the long story short is if you have a new console, you won't have to plug in your Kinect into an outlet. If you have an older Xbox 360 console, you plug it into USB port and you also have to plug it into an outlet. Sort of the short version of that. Certainly there's a new design as well. It's lighter, it's smaller, it's certainly much quieter, and the fans sort of kick in a little bit sooner to keep the console much cooler. From a design standpoint, they sort of went the way of the original PlayStation 3, I think. We got sort of now a glossy black display as opposed to the matte we had previously. We have touch-sensitive buttons as opposed to the physical buttons from before, so for power and eject. And the system itself looks a bit more streamlined. I've done overviews of these in the past, and you've sort of seen the console hands-on. But sort of looking at it now, it looks a bit more modern, it looks less blocky, and its smaller power brick makes it less cumbersome to use and to plug into a component system like I have right here. So overall, the console's been pretty reliable in the couple weeks that I've had it. It's sort of hard to do a reliability test for the short period of time. But I will say it does run quieter, and it does appear to run a bit cooler as well. I can't fry an egg on it like I could on the older Xbox 360 models. So are those reasons enough to upgrade? Probably not. If you have a working Xbox 360 model, I don't see a compelling reason to run out and buy the new one, unless you have to have Wi-Fi or one of those features I just mentioned. Certainly plugging in Kinect is not going to be that big a deal, assuming you have the outlets for it. This one just looks a little bit nicer, it looks a bit newer, but functionality-wise, you're going to get pretty much the same experience. This isn't meant to ignite a PS3 versus Xbox 360 flame war. We've got a console war series that covers a lot of that. I'll put a link to those videos down below in the sidebar if you want to sort of rage about which console you prefer. But the experience here for the Xbox 360 250GB model is pretty similar to what we've had with other Xbox 360s, just in a new package. Anyway guys, what do you think? Are you going to upgrade, not upgrade? I'm kind of curious to what you have to say. I am John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.